Hey guys, this is the video lesson for lesson 5.4, and you are going to learn about terminating and repeating decimals. So let's start up here. We're going to talk about something called rational numbers first. And it sounds confusing, but it really isn't, especially when you look at this diagram at first. So first off, the definition, math definition for rational numbers are numbers that can be written as fractions. So let me try to explain it in another way. First off, rational numbers are pretty much most of the numbers that you have ever seen. So, for example, a decimal, 8/10 is a rational number. A repeating decimal, 5 2/10 repeating is rational. A fraction is rational. A mixed number is rational. Negative decimals are rational. Okay, now everything in here are also rational. So negative numbers and positive numbers are also rational. So 13 is a rational number, 1 is a rational number, 8 is a rational number, -6. So pretty much all these numbers are rational numbers. Now, we get more specific as we go into each section. So integers are just negative and positive whole numbers. So -6 and -10 are integers, but so are 8, 1, and 13. Now these outside of the blue circle are not integers because integers can't be fractions or decimals. Now, whole numbers are very specific. They are basically all your counting numbers, 0, 1, 2, 3, all positive. Integers are not whole numbers. So basically all your positive whole numbers are whole, or all of your positive numbers are whole numbers. Throw in some negatives and you've got integers. Throw in some decimals, fractions, mixed numbers, and you've got rational numbers. Now, going down below, don't get hung up on it too much, but just know rational numbers include most of the numbers we talk about in 6th grade. So today, when we are writing decimals as repeating decimals, we're going to learn how to write in bar notation. Now, when you see bar notation, just know that is when you write it, you guys normally put the little line over it, right? We just call that bar notation. So take a look at this example here. So, that was supposed to stay big. So 0.545454, we write as 0.54 repeating. Now you have to make sure when you're writing it in bar notation that you put the bar over the digits that are repeating. So you see how the 54 repeats each time? 54, 54, 54. That's why we just write it 0.54 with a bar over the 54. Okay, if we go to the one on the right, it's a little bit different. So we have 0.58333333. Notice that the 3 is the digit that's repeating. So when we write it, we write 0.583, and the bar is only over the 3, since that's the only digit that's repeating. One thing you don't want to do is you don't want to write this, 0.5833, even though technically it's the same thing. If there's only one digit repeating, we only write one of them, okay? All right, so now we're going to go down, and in this example, we're going to write a fraction as a decimal. Now, we are using calculators for this, so you don't have to worry about doing long division. But you know, hopefully, to change any fraction to a decimal, you just divide. So all you're going to do on this one is you're going to divide 5 divided by 12. You have to make sure the 5 is the first number you type in because it's the numerator of the fraction. So if you type that in, you're going to get a repeating decimal. Now, let me bring up my calculator when I typed in 5 divided by 12. So here is what you get. Notice it's 5 divided by 12, and you get this long decimal. Now, you see how there's a 7 at the end? That's only because the calculator runs out of space. This is actually a 6 repeating forever and ever and ever, but they always round the last digit up. Remember, if the 6 is 5 or higher, that 6 would round that 6 up to a 7. So it is still a repeater. So when you're writing this one as a repeater, you want to make sure you look for the repeating digit. So notice here, the 6 is the repeating digit, right? So make sure when you write it, you write 0.416, and the bar only goes over the 6. So basically I wrote this part of it, and I put the bar over the 6 to show that that 6 repeats. All right, so that's one. Let's go on to the next page. Okay, now you are going to try A, B, and C. So remember, divide to change it to a decimal, and if it's a repeater, I want you to use bar notation. Remember, the bar only goes over the digits that are repeating. Okay, do A, B, and C. and hit play when you're done and see if you were right. Go. Okay, so let's see how you did in A, B, and C. So first, for A, did you do 1 divided by 6? I hope so. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring up the calculator to show you what it looks like here. So if you did 1 divided by 6, this is what you should have on your calculator. And notice that 1.6666, that's repeating. Remember what I said about that 7 here? That 7 is just the 6 rounded up. So when you write it as a repeater, you should pretty much have this, but just with the bar over the 6 because the 6 is repeating. So your answer, I'll write it here, should be 0.16 with the bar only over the 6. Make sure your bar is not over the 1 because the 1 is not repeating. All right, now for B, let's check out what you got for B. So for B, if you did 8 divided by 9, you would have 0.88888. This is what comes up on your screen, right? This is not your answer with a 9 at the end. I just didn't take a picture of my calculator for this one. And you write that as 0.8 with a bar over the 8. So it's 8/10 repeating is your answer for B. And the last one, when you do C, you do 2 divided by 11. Remember, you don't have to write this part down. I'm just showing you so you know what you would have typed in. And on your screen, it comes up like this, 0.181818182 at the end, because that 1 got rounded to a 2. Now, did you recognize what was repeating? So the 18 repeats over and over and over again. So when you write your answer, you should have, oops, that's the highlighter, sorry. You should have 0.18, and the bar is over the 18 since that is what is repeating. All right, if you had those right, give yourself a C. If not, make sure you fix them and learn from it, because you'll be getting some more practice in a little bit. Now let's go down and do these 2 examples, which the only difference is they're negatives. So take a look at example 2. It says to write -2/9 as a decimal. So you would do 2 divided by 9 again, and you would get 0.222222 on your calculator. So just like before, you write it as a repeater, so it's 0.2 repeating, but remember it was -2/9. So the big thing is you're going to be doing the math, but you're going to forget the negative sign. So one thing, here's what I would probably do when I'm doing this one. I would probably, or not probably, definitely. Let's say this is my answer line, and I've got to write -2/10 as a decimal. So first thing I'm going to do is put my negative sign. And then I'll go and I'll do 2 divided by 9, and I'll say, oh, it's 0.2. By putting my negative sign first, I won't forget it. All right? Trust me on this one. Now, in note number 3, it says write -2 2/3 as a decimal. So let me show you what I'm going to do for this one. So you see this -2 holes here. Remember, when you're changing to mixed numbers of decimals, you don't involve the whole number. The whole number stays as a decimal and a fraction. So the first thing I'm going to do for my answer, let's say this is my answer line, is I'm going to write my -2 point. Now that basically took care of the -2 so I don't forget about it, because I don't need to do that. Now on my calculator, all I have to do is do 2 divided by 3. And you'll get 0.6666666 with a 7 at the end of your screen because it rounds. So remember, that's 0.6 repeating, so it's -2.6 with the bar over just the 2. So my trick is write the negative and the whole number first so you don't forget about it. All right, so now you're going to go down. You are going to try D, E, and F. Don't forget your negative sign. Okay, when you're done, restart the video and see what you did. Go. Okay, let's see how you did. So first one in D, -1/4. So I'm going to start, so I don't forget it, by writing my -0 point. And if you do 1 divided by 4, you get 0.25. So because it's not a repeater. So this is just -0.25. That's what you should have. Now, yes, it's okay if you have -0.25. Just be careful, because sometimes if you're a little sloppy, your negative sign will go over your decimal and it looks like -25. That's why I put this negative 0.25. I'm less likely to make that mistake. All right. Now in E, you had negative 5/6. So the first thing I'm going to do is put my negative 0 point. And then I'm going to do 5 divided by 6. And I see it's, on your calculator, it comes out 0.833333 all the way across. So it's negative 0.8. I only write 1 3 and put a bar over that 3 to show it's repeating. Okay, so that's your answer for E, negative 0.83 with the 3 is repeating. And last, in F. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take that negative 2 out of there and put it as at the start of my answer. So I have negative 2 point something. Now I'm only going to focus on that 1/6. So I'm going to do 1 divided by 6. And if you do that, it comes out 0.166666666 with a 7 at the end. So I'm going to put the 1/6 in front there. The 6 is repeating, so my bar is only over the 6. So my answer is negative 2.16 with the 6 repeating. All right. On to example 4, and then you'll do problem G. All right, in example 4, we're just going to show you a real-life problem. So it says Frankie made 33 out of 44 free throws this season. To the nearest thousandth, what is his free throw average? Now notice that here. This is not, you're not going to write this as a repeater. It says to the nearest thousandth. So if Frankie made 34 out of 44 free throws, remember that's a fraction. So he made 34 out of 44 I can't talk today. Free throws. So that's 34 44ths. And I would do 34 divided by 44. And this is what I get on my screen. I get 0.7727, and the 27 starts repeating, etc. Okay, now, the thing is we don't want to write this as a repeater because it says to the nearest thousandth. So what I'm going to do, here's my tenths, hundredth, thousandths, right? So I'm going to write it to the nearest thousandth, but you have to look at that next digit to see if it rounds it up. So since that 7 is a 5 or higher, it's going to bump this 2 up to a 3. So the answer is going to be 0.773. That's how you write it to the nearest thousandth. So in that one I rounded, I did not write it as a repeater because it asked me to the nearest thousandth. And that's a pretty good free throw average, by the way. All right, now I want you to try G. We'll read it first, just to make sure in case you have any questions. So in G, it says, of 9 students surveyed, 4 said they prefer exercising in the morning rather than the evening. Express this fraction as a decimal. So you're changing the fraction to a decimal. Use bar notation if necessary. So that means if it's a repeater, you write it with the line over the number, right? All right, now let's talk about this fraction here because this could be tricky. It says, of 9 students surveyed, 4 said they prefer exercising in the morning. So I want you to write that as a fraction real quick. I'm going to give you a couple seconds. All right, did you write it as a fraction? Let's see if you got tricked on this one. Because it says of 9 students surveyed, that means 4 of 9 students. So your fraction is 4 of 9, not 9 over 4. They just reversed the order in the sentence. Of 9 students surveyed, that's your total 9 students down here surveyed. So now I want you to pause the video and I want you to change 4/9 to a decimal. And if it's a repeater, use bar notation. Go, restart the video when you're done. Okay, let's see what you did. So first off, on your calculator, it comes out to this, 0.44444 all the way across your screen. Now, when you write it as a repeater, 0.4, you only write 1 4. You don't need to write more than 1 with the bar over the 4. So your answer is 4/10 repeating. All right, that's it. I'm sure if you're absent, you got some problems down here to do. If you have any questions, please ask me. And as always, thanks for watching.